Hey everybody, Charlie Stevens here. Thank you so much for tuning in to another guitar lesson. Today we're going to learn the New Year's classic Auld Lang Syne. So this is a fun, easy melody, and it ties in nicely to things that we've learned about on the channel already. So most recently we learned about the dotted quarter note, and we'll get a lot of practice with the dotted quarter note in this piece. We also learned how to play our full G major scale in our open position. Please check out that lesson if you haven't seen it, but we're going to use all the notes in that area of the neck in G major for this tune as well. And we also learned how to read key signatures, and we'll need to read a key signature for this. So we have an F sharp in the key, and when we see it in the standard notation that I've made for this, it's not going to have a sharp in front of the F itself. The F sharp will be in the key signature in the beginning of the piece, right? And that's how you'll know every F is sharp. If you didn't quite follow that, please watch the lesson about key signatures. I taught those while I taught the song Red River Valley, I think, so you can look it up on my channel by searching Red River Valley, or just kind of peruse through the basic guitar lesson playlist there. In this tune here, it starts with a pickup note, something we also learned about, so check out the video on pickup notes if you don't know what that is. But basically it means it starts on beat 4. So when we start the song we say 1, 2, 3, right? The first note of the song is there on beat 4. 4, 1. Okay, so it starts on an open D string on that beat 4. And then beat 1 of really what we would call the first measure, because the pickup measure doesn't count as a complete measure. The beat 1 of that measure would be a G. We're in the key of G. That's the tonic G. This was actually the dominant. Sol, do. Very, very common musical phrase to start off melodies and for lots of other things. So anyway, that's what we have so far. Okay, in the first measure we get a dotted quarter note right on the first beat on that G is a dotted quarter note. 1, 2. So the next note is on the and of 2. Okay? And it's actually an F sharp. We're going to play it right here on the 4th fret. I could use my pinky if I wanted to be really correct to a certain fingering shape like this. But in the lesson about the G major 2-octave full open position G major scale we talked about how we can use those fingers as well. Okay, so you might see me using different ones. I'm going to use whichever ones make sense to me at the time, but I just wanted to point that out to not confuse you, that you're allowed to use the 3rd finger there sometimes. You're also allowed to use the pinky finger there. It's sort of going to depend on what you're doing. You're going to want to be able to use both. Okay, so 1, 2, and 3. Okay? It's a little tricky because it's kind of quick. We have an 8th note on that F sharp, and then we go right to the open G again. Kind of a common thing though, so this is good to get good at. And I'm using strict alternate picking in this example. So I'm going to go down on that open G, and that's an up here. It's an up on the F sharp, back to a down on the open G. 1 and 2 and 3, 4. Okay, on beat 4 I go to my next open string, the open B string. Okay, that's the whole first measure. 2 and 3, 4. Okay, the second measure also starts with a dotted quarter note. 1, 2, and 3. That one's nice and easy because it's on the same string. We just let go. We have an A, 1, 2, and we play the open G on and, the end of 2 that is, 3, back to the A note here on the 2nd fret. 1 and 2 and 3. Nice and easy. Okay, now we have a pair of 8th notes. 4 and 1. Okay, so that's B on the open string, A on the 2nd fret of the 3rd string, and open G. 4 and 1. That's also a dotted quarter note. 4 and 1 and 2 and same note now on the and of 2. We'll play the open G again. 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... Okay, so we have the open B on the 3rd beat. We have a D note, which is on the 3rd fret of that same string, the second string, on beat 4. 1 and 2 and 3, 4, okay? 1 and 2 and 3 and... So now we have a dotted half note, so that gets all 3 beats, and we just hold that until beat 4, where we play the same note again, the open E again. 4, 1, okay? That leads us here to the D note. 4, 1, That's also a dotted quarter note. Every measure of this tune actually starts with a dotted note. Interesting. Mostly quarter notes. Sometimes at the end of the phrases it will be a dotted half note, or it's even longer. But that's really kind of interesting how the first beat is always dotted like this. This is why this is a great practice song for learning about these dotted quarter notes. Okay, so to measure 5, actually let's do the pickup into measure 5, okay? So that means we're going to start at the end of measure 4, that open E. So I'll count to 3, we'll play that one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Then we're in measure 5, okay? So 1, 2, and 3. So we're going between the D and the B there. 1, 2, and 3, and 4. Okay, last note of that measure is on the open G. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... Okay, next measure, back to A. 1 and 2 and 3. We already saw that. That's 4 and 1. That's exactly the same as measure 2. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3. Okay, so this time it's down to an E. 1 and 2 and 3. So E is here on the 2nd fret of the D string. And 3 and 4 and open D. 1 and 2 and 3 and... Okay, that's the whole A part. Then we would get to the B part. So you could repeat that A part too. We're going to move right on and do the B part, but I just wanted to point out that that is kind of a complete section. You could do that part again if you wanted to. We're going to move right along into the next section though. So that next section starts on the 9th measure there, but really the pickup would be the last beat of the 8th measure there, an open E again. Okay, so that's that. 4, 1, B, B, G. Okay, that's exactly the same as measure 5. And then measure 6 and 10 are almost the same. They end a little bit different, but we have the same thing. A, G, A, right? 1, 2, and 3. Instead of ending, this one kind of leads us back in different ways. On 4, we used to have this kind of thing, but now we just have an open E. 1, 4, then back to this. 1, 2, and 3. Similar figure there. 1, 2, and 3, but this time we go back up to D on 4. And then to the open string. 1, 2, 3. Another E on 4. 4, 1, 2, and 3, 4. Okay, that measure 13, is exactly the same as measure 9 and 5, right? So we're getting a lot of repeated stuff here. And then this measure is exactly the same as measure 6. A, G, A, even with the pickup. Last time that ended a little different. Now it's back to the way it ended earlier. Okay, now we're in measure 15. 1, 2, and 3, 4. Okay? G, 2, and 3. That's to the E again on the 2nd fret of D. 4, open D, back to G. Okay, so that's exactly like we saw in measure 7. That one is the same. So there's a ton of repeated material in this, so I'm going a little bit quickly as I was demonstrating that because I'm wanting you to use the materials here. You can download the music for free at my website, charliestevensmusic.com. It has tab there that you can use, but I'm also kind of hoping you'll gravitate towards using the standard notation so you can kind of see some of these symbols we've been using on this channel. But also we have it in tab too, so if you have any questions about what string or which fret we're playing that note on, we can look at it here in tab and we can know that. Okay? So yeah, so hopefully you can kind of go slow with this with the written materials, and that will make sense. I'm also just going to go ahead and play it for you nice and slowly now, and you can learn it that way. All right, so from the top, it'd be something like this: 1, 2, 3. All right. I also did a cool kind of finger picking arrangement of that last year that's on my YouTube channel too, if you want to check that out. But this is just a nice simple arrangement of this that uses the melody using things that we've learned so far on this channel. So I hope you enjoyed that. I hope that gives you something fun to play around with this New Year's. Hope you have a great New Year's or whatever time of year you're watching this at. Thanks again for joining me for this guitar lesson. Please subscribe to the channel, and I look forward to seeing you again for another guitar lesson really soon in the future. Thanks. Bye.